Hello out there. This is the Harboring Light. I give a conservative take about the world around me. So, social media, I'm going to use Substack as a better form of social media for me for my platform. We'll provide that link along with other links. So, here's a brief list of some of the audio platforms that I'm on, and I'm continuing the aspirations and working towards growing to where I'm on all of the audio platforms. So, list briefly: Audible, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Pandora, just to name a few. And ratings are greatly important and appreciated. So, feedback on these platforms is appreciated, and then feedback through email or on Substack is appreciated too. So, this episode is all about you people out there, or person out there in Reno, Nevada. That is, but that goes without saying. Reno, the food culture, the food and aspects of that, and the history. All right, so let's dig in. All right, so before I dive in into the aspects of Reno and the food culture and the history, I'm going to give a brief couple of thoughts. Picturing Reno, the glitz, glamour, city of lights, the casino aspect of it, it's the remindant of sort of that old panache. Well, I wouldn't say that, classic and timeless elegance. And within that, that's argument within that. Also on the flip side of it, in the 60s with the Rat Pack, alluding to the drinking and misogynistic point of view and smoking and all of that. But beyond that, there's still the sophistication of the aspect of living a life of luxury and the splendor within that, and then the culture that came out of that. I find that quite interesting. All of the different remnants that come from the impact that Reno has in culture. All right, so let's get into it. Also, to add on some extra bit of thoughts before I get into the content, with the whole aspect of the 60s precursor of the Rat Pack and casino, Reno nightlife, add on to that Las Vegas, all of these things, is that whole idea of men being not being restrained, or the aspect of what society holds a man, what they think a man, a liberated man, so to speak, should be. It was still in the cuffs from my point of view of that. The conservative were more traditional, sort of conventional notions. And, of course, with the aspects of the debauchery that's in it, which is not the greatest, but still holding in to the ideas that this, the sophistication of men being men and women being women, and this aspect of it too, of the sort of golden era of television and Hollywood, to it getting into the aspects of the movements of the feminist aspects, movement and free love and all of these things. Before that sort of corruption, so to speak, I think, for the pivotal momentum towards eras, more, the eras to come, and it's a reminder of a time when things were, the best example I can give to you is Mad Men. Now, a lot of people give that show a lot of flack and everything, that, this show is just a example of boosting of what the male dream of what he wants, a society he wants, particularly perpetuating the whole idea of a white male, of how they view life and how they view women should be. But that's the exact opposite, I think. So when you delve deep into this show, you see that, for instance, the aspects of Don Draper and his life. So, he was very honest, very forthcoming about, and it was a very honest depiction, and in the aspect of his life and to explain why he is the way that he is, as far as the alcoholism and the loose aspects of women, of debauchery with women, and how all of that split down with the marriage. And then it's also a very honest depiction of female in the bad side of the feminine will of his wife, and how she is seemed to be pristine and putting up airs on the surface, but that deep down below she has this dark-seated sociopathic sort of mentality about people and about the world in general, that she just must control everything, and it rips all of the aspect of her marriage and her family apart. And then you also get into the realistic expectations and the realistic, more along the lines of realistic situations that can happen when you have the feminist will. So, particularly one of the characters, when she uses her feminine wiles to get what she wants, and she does very unseedy things to try and get ahead, and that's really speaking, and she's, as time goes on and it gets into the later part of the 60s on to almost the 70s, and it cuts off from there. She uses the radical movement. Hey, I'm this young single woman, and I want to take the world by storm like a man would. And you see the aspects of how that can turn really dark. Just a couple thoughts there. So, here we go. Let's get into it. In 1887, San Franciscan Charles Fay designed the first mechanical slot machine. The device featured 3 spring wheels using 5 symbols: hearts, diamonds, spades, horseshoes, and the famous Liberty Bell. It was natural to the machine the Liberty Bell. Other manufacturers happily followed it into this lucrative market. By the early 1900s, lawmakers cracked down on cash-paying slot and public gambling. San Francisco banned all 3,300 slot machines within the city in 1909. Nevada also instituted a prohibition in 1909. To circumvent the laws, manufacturer industry novelty co. turned the device into dispensers of Bell fruit gum chewing gum. Car numbers and suit reel symbols were replaced with fruit images such as cherries, plums, oranges, lemons, and watermelons. The machine now spills out packs of gum, the flavor matching the winning fruit symbol. The bar symbol we recognize today was introduced to slot machines at this time and was based on the stylized company logo of Bell Fruit, designed to resemble a stick of chewing gum. Charles Fay, the designer of the Liberty Bell slot, came to Reno and opened a restaurant in 1958 called the Liberty Bell. It replaced the Little Red Barn in a prominent location in front of what is now known the Reno Sparks Convention Center. The restaurant was famous for its Western memorabilia as for its food. The heavy bronze entry doors were salvaged from the Palace Hotel in San Francisco after the 1906 earthquake. His grandson Marshall joked that it cost $250 for the doors and $2,000 to adopt the Bell front entrance to accommodate them. Large, ornate chandeliers, red flocked wallpaper, and vintage prints added to a nostalgic grandeur. The back bar was made of rosewood and birch and started life in the Owl Club in downtown Reno before making his home here. Even the restaurant's roof got into the act, proudly displaying a variety of horse-drawn wagons to further convey the theme. The bar was a draw in the early years. Marshall, in an interview with late Reno newsman Dennis Myers, explained, as he quoted, "And the way we got in the restaurant business is the maitre d' of the maps. Skyroom they closed down Skyroom that they closed down. So he phoned us up and wanted us to know if we could run the kitchen, and we said sure. After a few failed efforts, the Fays decided to run the operations themselves. The Liberty Bell became known as a steak and prime rib restaurant, heavily visited by locals. Many consider the prime rib the best they've ever eaten. The menu included ribs, fried chicken, and a selection of seafood. Portions were generous, and prices were moderate. The Liberty Bell stayed true to its classic menu and ignored food trends. It established its reputation as a meat and potatoes place, and the restaurant rested on those laurels. The addition of spinach salad dotted with bacon and eggs was as experimental as the menu got. Coffee was included in the cost of the dinner, a throwback to 1935 when 90% of restaurant customers ordered coffee with their meals. As a bonus, the Face created a menu there with old slot machines. Marshall had no idea how much he spent acquiring the collection over the years, but many of his purchases were made before inflated prices for collectibles drove ordinary people out of the market. The doors closed for the last time in 2006. Online bloggers still lament the loss, especially of the prime rib. But not all is lost. So, in the Nevada State Museum in Carson City, you can see the original Liberty Bell slot. But you gotta take your own fruit or gum with you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to end with somewhat of a synopsis from a article that was written on the website ediblerenotahoe.com. It states this article was entitled "The Best Food and Drink Spots in Reno and the Surrounding Areas." So as it states, foodies and beverage enthusiasts alike will enjoy the diverse and unique offerings and beloved gastronomic favorites, including dishes, cocktails, brews, and other food and drink selections throughout the region. The most sought-after restaurants and bars in the culinary landscape are sought after and visited. Indulge in extraordinary food and drink. It's met with talented chefs and bartenders. It's celebrated with accomplishments and immersed in the ambience to create the guide of sophistication and suave. And it concludes with, thank you for supporting Reno's local food and drink culture beyond. Cheers. I think that's something that's a sweet note to end on. This reaches the Harboring Light. Tune in, turn up, and definitely take care. So on Monday, I am going to start with the launch of Urban Legends, which will start out with the myth and legend of the Tootsie Roll. Tune in for that. Particularly the Tootsie Roll Pop and all of the historical background behind the Tootsie Roll. Hope to hear from you with questions, comments, concerns, if you have it, through email. And ratings are greatly important for the show's development. Take care.